Hi savvy savers, thank you so much for clicking on my video, and I'm sure the reason why that you clicked on my video is that you're looking for some sort of motivation, inspiration on the YouTube channel on how you can maximize your savings in 2024. And I am so excited to share my real experience and strategies on how I saved 50K in 1 year. I promise you, in this video, I am going to share my real experience. It's not an easy thing to do, but for me, it was doable at the time. Not anymore. I can't save 50K in a year anymore, but at the time I was able to do it and I chose to do it. I sacrificed a lot in terms of going out with friends, in terms of going to the gym and eating like super good food. Like I sacrificed that, but somehow I managed to save 50K and pay off my student debt. So let's get into it. First thing first, the reason why I was able to save 50K in a year is because I chose to work 2 full-time jobs. One during the daytime, one is at the nighttime. I was working 16 hours a day. How I was able to manage that is they both were remote work. So it was also like it's during late COVID time. Everything was still working remotely. So I was able to just work from home, and the rest of 8 hours I was able to manage to sleep for like 6 hours and then just like hang out or do whatever I need to do. The motivation behind finding 2 jobs is that I was freshly graduated from college and I was facing a lot of anxieties and uncertainties in the future. I ended up landing a daytime job before I graduated, but it was only a 4-month contract. With that 4-month contract, I was like, what am I gonna do later? It was only 4 months. And then I started to look for a little long-term positions. Then I ended up having a permanent position, but it is an overnight position. They both are kind of entry level. So overnight position was a customer representative and the daytime position was actually a student position. I ended up having 2 positions because I don't know what I want to do. I freshly graduated with a business degree. I'm like, there are so much things that I could do, but I don't know what I want to do. Of course, there were a lot of challenges to have a 2 full-time job when you're freshly graduated. You don't even know what's going on in the world. You just don't know what's happening in the future. At the same time, just because I was freshly graduated, I was desperate. I was desperate to contribute my knowledge, my experience, everything. That led me to have a lot of energies towards work that I was doing. So I was very focused on contributing at work and basically just to sleep after working. The challenge I was facing was definitely unbalanced work and life ratio. I was working 16 hours a week, but I was not having enough sleeps and I was not going out with my friends. I was not having a lot of social life. Benefit of that is I was getting paid 4 times a month. And I still remember that my checking account was literally growing every single week. Basically every single week. I was like, holy, what do I do with all this money? I did not just graduate and to be like, I want to save 50K a year. Like that did not happen like that. It was all like a backwards planning. So basically I graduated, I found 2 jobs, and then I got my pay. And 2 months in, I'm like, well, I've got all this money and I'm not really spending it because I have no time. I literally have no time to spend all the money. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a goal. And if I don't hit the goal, it's fine because my goal is to save. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit the 50K goal. And then I started to put money away. I just kept saving. With the 2 full-time jobs, it's not an easy thing to do. If that's something that you want to do, not saying that you have to have 2 full-time jobs, you can simply have 1 full-time job and 1 part-time job. If your goal is just purely hardworking and getting paycheck to paycheck because you don't know any other ways to save money, I have to mention that time management is going to be very, very important. If you can manage your time effectively, you can simply have one full-time job, one part-time job, and just to save as much as you can. During the weekdays, I was only prioritizing working and sleeping. During breaks at work, like you have to take advantage of that because you're working from home. At least I was working from home, so I had to take advantages during that 15 minutes break, 30 minutes lunch, and then another 15 minutes break. When I was taking breaks, I was making sure that I snack, I drink tea, I stretch. If I need to throw a laundry in, like I make sure I do that. Those 15, 30 minutes break, it's so important. Like you have to take advantage of that. When I was working daytime and nighttime job, I had almost 5 hours not interrupted. So basically I was working 9 to 5 and then I was working 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. From 4 a.m. to like 9 a.m. I had like 5 hours. I am very fortunate that I am someone hit the bed, I fall asleep. At 4 a.m. I go to bed, I fall asleep. So I was just sleeping for 4.5 hours a day during the weekdays. It's not healthy. I don't recommend anyone's doing it. I was someone that I did not know. Like I was young and all I wanted was to contribute everything that I know and making money and saving money. So I don't recommend you not sleep at work. I only did it for 1 year, so that's it. I'm not doing it anymore and I don't wish to do it anymore. This video is not to ask you to work 2 full-time jobs. How I manage my time during the week. During the weekend, first of all, I was not going out, so I had lots of time to like catch up my sleep, clean the house, meal prep, and all that. Also at the time, I remember that I did not physically go to the grocery store. I was just to order groceries online and they have free delivery. So I was taking advantage of that. So that saved me tons of time. And the meal prep on Sunday is just so important. I was also someone who's like very easygoing in terms of meals. I'm Asian, so I eat noodles and rice for life. So noodles and rice, so as long as I have a stir fry, I cook a pot of rice, then it lasts me 2-3 days. Same thing with noodle, I just boil it for 10 minutes and have some spicy sauce, soy sauce, whatever veggies. That's your meal. That's my weekend. And then I basically just repeat it for a year. Before I move on to the next point on how I exactly saved the 50K a year, so my 2 income at the time was able to bring my salary to over 110K. After taxes and everything, I saved 1 full-time income. During the nighttime job, like I saved that income completely. So that gave me 30K there already. So I saved 1 full-time income, and then the second income I basically just spend 70% of it or close to 80% of it. I don't really have exact numbers right now because I am not someone who's planning or budgeting it to the penny at the time. Well, I'm doing it now, but like at the time I wasn't really budgeting or like having the numbers to the penny. So I remember I was spending, I think it was like 70% of the daytime income, and then I saved 30% of it. At the same time, I was also getting some tax rebate because I was a student. I had tuition going on, so like during the tax time, I was able to get some of the refund because I was a student the year before. So that gave me a couple $1,000s as well towards my saving. I was basically only have fixed expenses. Basically, it's rent, your phone bill, hydro, your internet, groceries. I remember at the time for my credit cards, I only need to pay off the credit cards for groceries because I was not spending any money on anything. And I remember every time I get paid, I transfer 100% of my nighttime job salary towards a saving account right away, as if that was not even my money. So that's how I put that mindset in my brain. I was like, well, I'm only gonna use one salary. Okay, now we are going to talk about the tips on how to maximize your savings. First, you have to cut out all the non-essentials. You have to, including clothing and eating out. That's the two biggest non-essential. Like, you think you need it, but if you're trying to save as much as you can, you have to cut those out. So during that 1 year, I am proudly to say that I did not buy one clothes. Not a one clothes, like no shoes, like nothing. I did not do online shopping. I did not physically go to the store. I just wear whatever I had in my wardrobe. That's how I saved so much money. Like, I did not go out on Boxing Day to shop for sales because, oh, that top is $10. I can totally afford it. No, that's $10 towards your saving. Like, you absolutely cannot shop whatsoever. There's no like, oh, it's Black Friday, I have to shop. No, you cannot do that. In terms of eating out, of course, I went out to eat on like my friend's birthday or like special occasions. Like, I did that, but that was not very often. So if I did go out with my friends, I always propose, whether it's hiking in summertime, picnic, or in winter, it will be just like, oh, do you want to come over? We'll hang out at my place. Try to minimize the expense as much as you can. It was easy for me at the time because I only see I'm saving money. I don't see anything else. The second tip is the groceries. On groceries, I was budgeting basically $150 max per week. So that including all the snacks, that including all the fruits, veggies, and all that. I'm not a very like meaty person, so I don't eat a lot of meat. I guess that's where groceries get expensive, when you buy like steaks, when you buy like chicken and like meatballs and all that. So I'm very fortunate that I love tofu, and tofu is cheap. It's not like cheap, but it's definitely way cheaper than meat. I was snacking a lot during the day because I didn't have time to cook lunch or to have a big lunch. Basically just snacking. I was not being cheap on buying fruits and veggies, but I was still budgeting heavily on how much money I spend on groceries. And I make sure I do not spend over $150 a week. Within that $150 can carry over to next month, just because sometimes the things is on sale. Like when you buy pasta, you don't necessarily eat the whole bag of pasta in a week, so you always like have carryover. So not necessarily spending $150 every single week, but some of the weeks, if I have to buy like toilet paper, like all those kind of things, then it's definitely gonna hit like $150. I guess this video is leading towards the end. I've already like talked a lot about how I saved, what sacrifice I made in order to save. I hope you can find inspiration from this video. If your goal in 2024 is to save, whether it's 10K, 5K, 20K, do whatever sacrifice that you need to do, I am sure you will hit the goal. And I want to say I am very proud of you to put all the non-essentials aside and just to focus on building your future. I want to share one of the quotes that I love. It's a money quote, of course. The sooner you start to save, the sooner your money will start to work for you. And that is so true. After I saved that 50K and I used a part of that money to pay off my student debt, and part of that money went to investment. In the next coming videos that I would like to share how I turned my 20K into investment, how much money I made off it. That being said, I worked super hard, sacrificed a lot. Part of that 50K started to working for me. That's kind of free money. Yes, I loved it. If you find any of my experience or tip valuable and you are being inspired as well to save as much as you can in 2024, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want more, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next one.